Hello! Hi, my name is Amber, and I'm a business and technology librarian at the Boston Public Library. I wanted to thank you for joining me this morning for Coffee with KBLIC. So, let's get down to business and talk about what we're going to learn today. So, I'm just going to pull the agenda up on the screen. So, I want to thank folks who came to my inaugural Coffee with KBLIC last week. I learned a lot. So, today we're going to sort of switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to adjust the format. This is sort of iterative as we work through this. So let me just introduce what KBLIC is. So KBLIC, KBLIC, is the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation Center. And we support folks who have a small business, looking to start a small business, looking to jumpstart their career, and also folks who are looking to invest. So in my day-to-day, folks used to come up to me at the reference desk, and I used to help them with all these things. And I used to help them access the technology that they needed to help make their dreams sort of come true, if you want to put it that way. If you want to be more practical about it, I helped them learn Photoshop so they could make collateral for the business. But that's neither here nor there. But what I am doing right now is I'm hosting this little sort of office hour, and I can help folks with their questions. So what is coffee? What is this stream? Basically, it's a place for you to ask questions, and you can refer back to this material later on if you needed to learn, if you needed to review it. This stream will be available on the BPL YouTube page, and it will be in a playlist called Coffee with KBLIC. And this is episode 2 of 5. So last week we talked about working from anywhere and what that meant. And today we're going to talk about getting back to business. We're going to learn about how to support your local small businesses and also how you can start your own small business if that's something you want to do. We have a bunch of resources that you can use at the Kirstein Business Library and Innovation Center, and you can access a lot of them online, and I'll be highlighting one of those today. Then at the end, we'll have some Q&A, and I will also mention a couple of upcoming events that we have that might benefit you, a family member, a friend, or business partner. So, let's get started. Let me see. Still learning the transitioning a little bit. So, the state is reopening today. Boston will be reopening on next Monday because we are about a week delayed. The state is reopening today. And so what does that mean for us? Well, that means that a bunch of new businesses or a bunch of businesses that have been close to the public are going to be able to open. And that includes gyms, which I am super excited about. Let me tell you, I really want to go to the gym. But I might cool it a little bit just because I see the spikes around the other states, and I'm curious to see how that goes. I have my little agenda here, a cheat sheet. I tried to go from memory last week. So the other thing that I'm kind of excited about is movie theaters, museums, and cultural heritage sites. I just want to be able to go somewhere. So that'll be really exciting. And I was reading this morning that job postings are up about 14%, according to a research group at Harvard. So that's really exciting to hear. And I'll talk about some career resources at the end of the stream, if you are interested. So let's talk about how we can support our small businesses. What's the first place where we can go? And I'm just going to pull up the browser window. Oops. And let's see. So let's start here first on the BPL web page. If you're looking to get a library card, I just want to pause 1 minute. If you're looking to get a library card, if you go to services and click on e-cards, you can sign up for a library card online. I'll walk you through it later, but I just wanted to mention that right now. So what's really cool, let's go back sort of on track, is the city of Boston is actually putting together a list of Black and Brown owned businesses, which is really cool. So if you want to support Black and Brown owned businesses in your community, they actually have this really handy list that you can sort through, and you can do some research. So if you need a home-based service, any personalized service, and we can filter these, or things like restaurants in particular. I love eating out and I love having takeout. So I'm very excited to have more takeout opportunities and more opportunities to actually sit outside for outside dining. So that's exciting as well. And so you can go through and look at these businesses and be able to contact them. And that's a really awesome resource the city has put together. Also on this page, which I'll link in the description, there's an opportunity if you want to apply. There's also some other lists that you can click on, and there's also information about the reopening fund, about getting PPE and cleaning supplies for your small business, and other small business resources on this page. So in terms of supporting your small business or the small businesses in your community, that's really exciting. And I'm really happy that the city had done this. This is a great resource for folks to find sort of undiscovered gems in their neighborhood as well. Another interesting resource that folks might not think of is the Supplier Diversity Office. The Supplier Diversity Office certifies diverse businesses, meaning women-owned enterprise, veteran-owned enterprise, disadvantaged businesses, as well as Black-owned businesses too. And so what you can do is you can actually search the portal that they have on their website. And this is available, this is all free, which is cool. You don't need an access with a library card or anything. You can access this directly online, and I can put the link in the description as well. If you are a women-owned business, or if you have a diversity certification or looking for a diversity certification, there's actually resources on this page that you can use to make your business available to be listed on this page. Now, this is specifically for bidding for state contracts. If that's something that is important to your particular line of work, might not make sense for a restaurant, or maybe you do catering. So it really depends on what kind of business you have. And there is a certification. It looks like they're going to be having a webinar later or early next month on the 5th. But they also have an in-person training in Taunton later this month. And you can find all that information by clicking on these links. But what I am going to do is I'm going to click on this search for currently certified businesses. So I'm just going to wait for that to load. And so what's really cool is you can go through, and if you're looking for, let's say, a minority-owned business, a women-owned business enterprise, and you can even search by LGBT as well as veteran-owned businesses, and you can even search by a particular certification agency. So you can go through by town. So we can go, let's pick Boston, and you can sort the results by zip code if you want to, and you can export these to Excel, which is really handy. So I'm going to hit search. I just did a basic search. Keep doing this today. I'm going to take a sip for my coffee. I hope to see some folks' coffee cups today. I'm always curious. Today I don't have a cup. Last week I did. Today I was a little lazy and I wanted iced coffee. I actually had iced coffee last week, but But here are the listings of all of the certified businesses from the Massachusetts Supplier Diversity Office. And you can get an idea of the kinds of businesses that these folks are running. And it looks like it's also pulling up some nonprofits as well. So if you'd like to support Black and Brown owned businesses that are nonprofits, you can pull those up too. Again, this is the Supplier Diversity Office. I'm just going to scroll up to the top. And we'll go back to the previous page. This is the directory of the certified businesses. This is a great resource, again, if you're looking for small businesses or small business enterprises that have a women-owned or minority-owned business. So it's a really cool resource, and it's out there for free. So there's another resource I actually want to talk about. It's on a library website. So I'm going to actually log in because I forgot to do that beforehand, but I'll show you how to get there once we go in. So don't mind me. What I'm doing is I'm going to look at the resources page that we have here. You can't see what I'm doing, but you'll see it in a second once I log in. And the resource I'm going to talk about is called Demographics Now. It's actually a really cool tool. You can get all sorts of demographic information. By the way, if you haven't filled out your census form, you should do that pretty soon. Something like 61% of households have filled out the census form the last time I checked. So that's something to keep in mind, because that helps small businesses target their audiences. And I'm getting to online resources. And my colleague is sending me something. So I'm just going to go here and type in my library card and PIN. All right, let's see if that, oh, beautiful. It's loading now. Sorry guys about that. I forgot to load that up before I started. So let me just transition back. Okay, so I went to the main Boston Public Library webpage, and under services, I always do this. Under books and more, I went to online resources. So right here is where we're going to find all of the online resources. Now, I could go to this by subjects thing, but I don't like this list in particular. So what I typically do, especially if I know the name of the database, I'll either search for it on the website, or I'll just go to this A to Z list of resources right here, this tealish blue button up in the top right corner of the database page. And I'm just going to click on that now. And you'll get pulled here. Now, I know it's called Demographics Now, Business and People. And when I click on this, I get a page and it prompts me to put in my library card and PIN. So I did that, and here it is. So this is the Demographics Now, Business and People. So you can generate a lot of really cool maps and reports that can help you target your small business or target your customers in a particular geography. So we can go down to the zip code and even census tract depending on what you want to do. Or you can do as broad as the entire country or even statewide. I am going to set my geography first because that's how you want to use this particular tool. So I'm just going to type in Boston, Mass. And I'm just going to select that, and it's going to say location set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this People and Companies tab. And this is going to allow me to search for businesses that are in Boston. My throat's a little dry. So I need to pick a list type. So I'm going to pick business list. So I have some default categories over here. I'm just going to scrap these because I don't need them. And I'm actually going to create my own custom search by going to business type. Oh, nope. I'm going to go to ownership. And this option right here called minority ownership, I'm going to check that box. And what's going to happen is anytime you check anything on this side, there's a pop-up box that appears in the window. So I can choose from all of these particular kinds of minority ownership. So again, we can choose specific groups. So if we wanted to look at Hispanic-owned businesses, African-American-owned businesses, Vietnam veteran-owned businesses in particular, women-owned businesses, there's a lot of options here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the general box. And, do I want to check anything else? I'm going to do women-owned. And then when I'm done, I can hit search. I can add, before I hit search, I can add the business type, which is what I clicked on before. And if I click on the keyword over here for the SIC and NAICS code, what I can do is I can type in the industry code that I could use to find a particular kind of business that I'm looking for. So, as we all know, or as I mentioned earlier, I love dining out. And so what I can do is I'm going to select the NAICS code. Let me pause here and explain what these are. So the SIC code and the NAICS code are classification codes used by the government to sort of group businesses together. They group like with like so you can compare the financial data and economic data associated with them. And when you register for a business, typically you also register with a NAICS code that's assigned to the category of business. So restaurants all fall under one particular code, which I believe is 7225, if I'm not mistaken. That's the biggest bucket. I just happen to know this because I, like I said, I don't cook. Let's be serious. I was going to brew my own coffee for this. No, I just don't have the energy. Which is why I just go buy it around the corner. It's so easy when you can tap it on the mobile app, like honestly. But this 7225, I can select it here and it will search for minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses that are restaurants and other eating places. So if I hit search, in Boston, Mass, because we said our geography earlier. And so when I hit search, here's 92 businesses that are women-owned or minority-owned. And we can see all of these. So if I go to China Sea Restaurant on Blue Hill Avenue, if I click on this, I can see the details of the particular restaurant. And so I can click on details. And it'll give me all the information about this particular business. It'll even give me an estimate of employees, an estimate of annual sales, link to Yelp, which is pretty cool. It'll give me the nearby businesses. It'll tell me who the folks are that are running it. And typically, there's a little note in here on when it was last updated. A lot of this information that you're seeing comes from the Secretary of the Commonwealth when someone registers to be a business, or it comes from the city's business registration data. So they collect this data, and usually it's updated annually or semi-annually. But I can also download this profile. I can print it out. Oh, well, I don't know about you, but I don't have a printer right now. That's one of the reasons I kind of miss being at work. Honestly, I hate staring at a screen. It's been like rough. I like to read things. And I've been finding I've been reading a lot more print books just because staring at a screen each day has been, it's draining. What can you do? I'm in a good position, so I shouldn't complain. But this is one of the profiles that you can see. So I'm going to pause and check to see if there are any questions. Ah, I goofed and forgot to explain something. So I know earlier I said that you can ask me questions. I didn't explain how to do that. So you can comment in the live chat on this particular stream. You can also email us if you don't want to comment on the chat at ask@bpl.org, or you can tweet us at bplkirstein. And if it's helpful if you include the Coffee with KBLIC hashtag, so we know how you got to us. Or you can give us a call at 617-536-5400. You'll probably be transferred to our line, and you can leave us a voicemail. And also, we have drop-ins and events, which I'll talk about a little later. So, again, you can comment in the live chat. And I'm actually going to check the chat right now and see if there's anybody in there asking any questions so I can see what's going on. Let's see. Thank you. Tina asked a question. How do I add my business? Is there a requirement to get on that list? So if you're talking about the city list, no, there isn't. But it's helpful to get if you want to get your business out there, you can. And the lists are updated. I see a couple of questions about the lists updated a lot. So right now, I think the city, when they're managing the list on the Boston Public Library, on the City of Boston website, they're taking them as they come. The Supplier Diversity Office requires you to take a training, and they update the list when you take that training. So they do it periodically. In terms of the databases, sometimes databases are updated quarterly, sometimes they're updated annually. It depends on when they get the batches of information from each of the Secretary of States. So I hope that answers some questions. Oh, my colleague also sent me a note. I also miss a printer. Yes, I get it. So let's see. I'm just checking to see. Thanks to my colleagues who are helping me fill out the certification, fill out the chat, and put in specifics. That's my colleague Mary. Usually 30 to 60 days for the Supplier Diversity Office. And thank you also for including the acronyms in there, which is for the SIC and NAICS codes. So let's see what else. The other thing I would just want to mention again is if you have questions about finding demographic data, we can walk you through it, and you can email us at ask@bpl.org. So thank you very much. Let's see. Speaking of small businesses, so I'm talking about how you can support a small business. And I've done that a few ways by going to takeout, but also buying gift certificates. But let's say you wanted to actually start your own business. A lot of folks have been laid off. And maybe there's something you could bring to the table now, and maybe you were afraid previously to start your own business, but you're thinking now might be the time. Well, we have a few resources that can help you. So we can help with research. I actually have an interesting research question I'm going to be working on later today, and I'm kind of excited about it. All the things are confidential, so I can't really talk about it, but you can email us and we can help you find all that information. You can also attend a drop-in, which I'll talk about later, but we have 2 drop-ins a week, and then mine happen twice a month. Let's see. And we have a nice partnership with SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit, and they help small businesses start their own business by providing mentorship and free resources on their website, which is really cool. And I can pull that up. But I also want to highlight, and I highlighted this last week, but I wanted to put it, make it clearer for folks for them to see it. We have partnered with a local law firm called Goodwin to do small business legal consultations. So you can request a consultation with Goodwin Proctor. And if you have questions about intellectual property, things like contracts, if you're pursuing a lease, or if you want to make sure your NDA is on the up and up, if you want to talk about debt and loan structures, sort of the legal aspects of that, not necessarily the financial aspects, or any sort of corporate structuring, if you have questions, it's good to go prepared, and you can have a 30-minute session with them. And you can email us, and it's helpful if you put small business legal consult as the subject. So I recommend, if you really wanted to start the small business, start sort of drafting everything out first, maybe find a mentor, sort of flesh out the marketing and whatnot. And then when you have questions about what about my trademark or whatnot, you can go and chat with the Goodwin folks, and it's free for a half-hour session. We will pass your information along, and they will reach out to you, and they will make an appointment. So that's exciting. Yes. And my colleague posted about the online electronic resource drop-ins on Thursdays at 11, which I'll put up on the screen in a moment. So coming up on Thursday, the 9th and the 16th, and then and they repeat each week, but I just wanted to highlight the two that are coming up. There are electronic business resource virtual drop-ins. So I gave you a brief overview of what Demographics Now does, but we have other databases that you can use. We have S&P Global Net Advantage. We have EMIS, which is the Emerging Markets Information Service. We have A to Z databases and Emergent Intellect. All of those databases provide demographic data, industry insights, company information, industry information, accounting ratios. There's a lot of stuff that you can use to help prepare yourself and put you on good footing if you really want to do well and to succeed with a small business. And they're free. You can just show up, and my colleagues, Gregor and Anthony, will be doing those. The other thing I would like to point out is there's other kinds of businesses as well, nonprofits too. So if you have a not-for-profit and you're looking for ways to figure out how to find funding, we're also having on Fridays from 11 to 12 Foundation Directory Online Essentials drop-ins. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the full Foundation Directory online remotely, but you can get some of the same information in Foundation Directory Online Essentials. And if you need a more comprehensive search, you can just email us at ask@bpl.org. Also, I'd like to plug some career help too. On Tuesdays, we have alternating a job search, a virtual discussion group, and then also classes. So this week's class, tomorrow's class, will be about resume writing tips and tricks. And Mary, I've picked up some tips from you. She did a virtual interview class, which you can see on the Kirstine Library Facebook page if you go and find that. And I can link that below in the description if I remember to do it, because I realized I didn't link the stuff from last week. So I will put that in the description as well. And on the 14th at 11, there will be a job seekers virtual discussion group. And that's kind of just drop in, ask the questions that you're looking for. Maybe asking for advice what should I include in this thank you letter, or how should I go about my job search? Just some general things. So, yes. Someone's asking that they have an idea and they're just starting out. What should I do first? A score appointment? That actually isn't a bad idea. I would write down your business idea and sit down with your brother and sort of sketch it out a little bit. Because when you go to a score appointment, you want to ask questions. And I should note that score, once you meet with them once, you're a client for life. And they'll walk you through the whole life cycle of your business. So if you want to start and run it forever, or if your goal is to start and sell, you're a client for them forever. And what I would recommend is just sort of getting a sketch of what you want out of the business. And actually, I know I sort of yammered on a little bit, but let me actually pull up the browser so you can see. So if you go to the Boston Public Library website, if you really want to start somewhere and you're just not sure, and I mentioned a bunch of the databases that I said, there we have them all in one place. So if you go to where it says Books and More and Research Guides, and once it loads, if you go under Business, we have this How to Write a Business Plan. And so this will give you an idea. There's some general questions that will sort of guide you. And if you're just saying like, let's say whatever your idea is, and you're thinking, who is my ideal customer? These are questions to sort of get you start thinking about how you would make your business successful. And you can write this down and then go with score with the specific questions. That way you get the most bang for your time with them. And then you can also ask us for information too as you move forward. So let's say you need more demographic data and that's what SCORE tells you to do. We can help you, and you can email us at ask@bpl.org. I hope that makes sense. There should be a link. So there is a link right here to the SCORE business planning and financial templates. But you can find a mentor right here up at the top at SCORE. And they are providing remote mentoring either through Skype or phone. So let me go back, and I hope I answered your question. So, and the link is in the chat. Okay. And so that's a great resource to use. Just because that website has a lot of good information on like financial stuff. I know I'm not great with like financials myself, and it's good to just see the templates and get a feel for how it's supposed to look. But I would hold off on meeting with the Goodwin folks until you get things a little bit more planted down, especially if you're trying to figure out sort of legal structures. Or even intellectual property. That's more the detail stuff. You want to get those big picture things like, who am I actually going to sell to? Or who's my client base? Or if you're starting a nonprofit, what's my theory of change and who am I going to be serving? So those are the things you should be thinking about. I'm just checking to make sure I grabbed all this stuff. All right. So that about covers it. If there's any other questions, I can take them. I'm here for another 20 minutes. I have a few announcements at the end, some really cool projects that the library is up to. But if I have any questions, let's see. Oh, yes. And this is our Twitter. So BPL Kirstein. So I do want to point out this. If you or someone you know is looking to get their U.S. citizenship, St. Mark's Community Education Program is offering online citizenship preparation classes. And you can find out more about that on our website. And I've pinned the tweet on our website. Oh, let me make sure you're actually seeing this. Nope, you're not. Wrong browser window. Whoops. I had it open in the wrong browser window. So like I was saying, St. Mark's Community Education Program is offering an online citizenship preparation class, and that's really cool. So if you know someone who's looking to get their citizenship, this is a great opportunity for them. And you can find the information on our website. Actually, let's see. Right here, this is the first class is on the 11th, and it's from 10 to 12 on Saturdays. And if you have questions, the contact information is here. So I'm just going to check back with the live stream. Someone's asking, do I need a library card to make a SCORE appointment? And no. SCORE is a nonprofit, and they are actually sort of like the, I guess, not civilian arm, but they are supported by the Small Business Administration. So they don't require a library card, and it doesn't require you to get a library card actually to do the small business legal consultations. You can just send us an email, but we ask that folks are for the small business legal consultations that you actually are living in Massachusetts. But SCORE, the Boston chapter of SCORE, helps basically all of Eastern Massachusetts. So you can make an appointment with them, and it's free, completely free. I will mention that if you're tuning in from elsewhere, check your local SCORE chapters. There are SCORE chapters all around the country. So I recommend you give them give them a ring or look at their website. There's a Worcester SCORE branch as well, I believe. I want to say there's one in Providence. So depending on where you live, you can go to either. But right now, while things are remote, it doesn't quite matter. But we host the Boston SCORE chapter. I will say, if your business is cannabis-based, SCORE, unfortunately, is sort of limited in how they can help you because they receive federal funding. So if you have a cannabis-based business, you come talk to us, and we'll do the best that we can. My colleague posted in the chat, you can go to www.score.org, and you can look up their information. Let's see. Any more? I'm curious to see if there's anyone who tweeted their coffee cup. So, ooh, I just saw a bird fly by. It was like majestic. Ooh, iced coffee for the win. Thank you, Share Bear. Oh, so let's go back here. So I'm pulling that up. Make sure you can see that. And it's taken forever to load, of course. Such is life. All right. Is it loading? Yes, iced coffee for the win. Ooh, I like the M&M mug. Nice. My colleague tweeted her mug. I wish I had one of those mugs. So thank you. I'm a big fan of the green M&M. She's so sassy. What kind of iced coffee do you have, Share Bear? Awesome. So I'm gonna check the stream. Okay. So, oh yeah, sorry. I had it open in the wrong browser window, but you should be able to see. You should have been able to see it. I gotta figure out a way to remember to actually click on the correct browser window. All right, so we're going back to the stream. Ah, yes, the sassiest. I love the green M&M. Me, I'm just, filling a landfill with my coffee cup here. I used to like to take the reusable thing, but that's not really an option right now, which is kind of a bummer. I guess I could brew at home, but then I wouldn't be supporting the local business. So that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Ah, where's the best place to go to find financial information for my business plans? Okay. Well, we're going to get a little in the weeds here. And I'm actually just going to switch briefly so I can log into the resource, and I'll show you how to get there. So I'm just going to go back to the camera. Boop. Okay. So depending on the kind of business you have, you can find something called ratios. And you can find these in Emergent Intellect, which is a really cool database that you can use. Oh, good. It logged me in. Perfect. I thought I was going to have to log in again. So let me pull that back. And we'll transition. Okay. Let's get rid of that. So we'll go through the whole home, not end. So if we go to Books and More and Online Resources again, and then we click on that blue button like I did before, right here, we can go to the full list of resources, or I'm going to show you a shortcut now. If you know what you're looking for, excuse me, just burped. If you know what you're looking for, if you go to catalog and change it to website, you can actually go directly to a particular service. Let's see if I can type. I couldn't earlier when I was IMing my colleagues. So the resource that we're looking for is called Emergent Intellect, and I'm not going to embarrass myself by spelling intellect wrong, so I'm just going to type in Emergent, and I have in my search, I search for website, and I left it at all content and Emergent, and it comes right to the top. So I'm just going to open that in a new tab. And let me make sure that that's beautiful there. And it's going to ask you, once you click on this particular link, to log in with your library card and PIN. So you're going to be greeted with this particular page. And you can do a search for a company. And you can actually search a competitive company. So let's do something like Suffolk Construction. Ooh. Come on. Suffolk Construction. So you can actually look at the financial data of a particular company. And you can sort of get a feel for all of that stuff. So I'm just going to look at this financial details. And these are all estimates. And these are updated annually. And there's usually a note in the profile in this database. If we go back, it's usually... so this was updated in February. And so this will, if you hover over this little tooltip, it'll say, this was the last time that Dun & Bradstreet verified this particular record. This was the last time it was updated, but it wasn't necessarily verified at this time. So most of the information is pretty accurate, but occasionally you will come across a business that has been closed. It does happen, but it's not perfect. These things aren't, fed in with the feed. It's mostly it's done manually in some cases. But if we go to the financial details, you can get an idea. Let's say you want to start your own commercial real estate company. You can sort of see how their employees and all of their financial historical sales as well. And you can download these, print these, email these. But actually, what you were getting at was something a little bit different. So I'm going to scroll down. We have business ratios. And this is really helpful. Let's say you wanted to start a particular kind of business. You can see the language here is a little boring, but what you can do is if you go to this ratios tab, you can say, well, I want to start a let's see. Let me see if it'll let me do that. Oh, it's not letting me search. Well, that's annoying. Well, if you figure out the NAICS code, you can look that up. So I'm just going to do women's and Mrs. outerwear. And I'm going to look and see sort of like what this current ratio is. And what these are basically, they allow you to sort of see, what the liabilities or what the net worth is. These are, actually, let's do display for printing so I can see this a little bit better. They changed this. They used to put it in one, cancel. They used to put it in one sheet. But basically, the quick ratio and the current ratio are sort of about like how much cash you have on hand, and there's probably a little help ticket somewhere, and you can see these efficiency ratios. So like this is your sales per inventory, your assets per sales, and what you can do is essentially if you want to compare yourself to these particular businesses. I know this is getting really in the weeds, and this is where you might want to talk to someone at SCORE, and they can point some things out. So if you're projecting a few years out, and let's say your accounts payable, you think it's going to be around like 10, we'll say 10. That's kind of high. So maybe you should look at how you are spending your money or how you're collecting money from your clients. So I know that was a little jumbled there. There's no good way of explaining that without being a little vague. I don't want to give you the wrong information because I'm not an accountant, but you can use these numbers basically to sort of benchmark your business against. I hope that made sense. Let's pull that up. Nope. Here we go. Do I need a password to access this? Is there ways to save your searches or information so I don't lose it? Okay. So yes, you need to have a library card and PIN. And if you want to get a library card, you can simply do that on the Boston Public Library webpage. So if you go to www.bpl.org, you can sign up as you have me yammering in the background. So you can go to Books and More. I always do that. Services, and then e-cards. Right now, it's probably easier for you to sign up for an e-card, and you get access to all the databases that are available remotely. And so what you would do is you would click on Register or Renew an e-card, and you would put in the information. And this is for folks who live and work in Massachusetts. if there are folks who are currently outside of Massachusetts due to the pandemic for whatever reason, you can email us at ask@bpl.org, and we will work with you to verify the details of your account. Okay. I hope that answers part 1 of your question. And then part 2. Is there a way to save your searches or information so I don't lose it? Let's see. Well, depending on the database, depending on the database, you have different options. So we can actually just download these or export these to Excel. So I could just download these particular ratios, and I can pick all the years. Let me see why. It looks like this one isn't updated. Oh, I wonder why. Let me see. Transportation. Let me do communications and see if that's... There we go. It looks like some of these particular databases or some of these ratios aren't as up to date. And it might have to do with the buckets that they're in. Some of these are in narrow buckets because they're an SIC code or a standard industry classification, which is the older version. Yeah, you can export this to Excel. Again, sorry I got in the weeds there. So you can save these to your desktop, or you can even save it as a PDF, I think. So if we hit export, you can save the file or send it to Excel. And if you do the display the page for printing, you can print this file as a PDF, depending on your settings on your browser. So I don't think I have a PDF. Oh, Microsoft Print a PDF. Beautiful. Wasn't sure if that was in there. I hope that helps. Ah, you're welcome. Okay. So, any more? As we draw to a close, there's a couple of things I want to highlight that the library is doing. Ah, that's right. Nothing's worse than having to go and look for things again. It is actually quite frustrating. I hate it myself. So what's cool is you can make company lists. So I was in this particular database before. I'd also like to point out that you can create a profile if you wanted to on this particular database. And you can put in an email and you can sort of see exactly, you can save exactly what you want to see when you do a profile. So if I were to put in my email, I could come back and I could see those particular settings if I wanted to do it. What's nice is you can have a telemarketing view or a contact view, depending on how you wanted to do this. And there's also a My Companies if you log in. Forgot to mention that. So that's a function of Mergent Intellect. Other databases, such as Gale databases that we have a subscription to, allow you to create an account and allow you to export directly to your OneDrive if you're a Microsoft account user, or to your Google Drive. I talked about that a little bit last week in last week's video. Let's pull up the stream. Can I still get an e-card at the library? Or can you get a card at the library or only an e-card for now? So right now, my recommendation for you is to sign up for an e-card. You can get a physical card if you want to go to the library and pick up materials. So you can place a request on physical materials such as books and DVDs. And then when you pick up your material, the staff will either give you a card or they'll work with you. You'll either hold up your ID to the plexiglass and they'll create an account for you. And you can tell them that you have an e-card. So work with the staff at the branch And I will say that as of recording this, there are no other in-person services at branches at the BPL. So that means no bathrooms, no printing, no reference service like this, which is why I'm hanging out here in front of my liquor cabinet, just, yeah. So you can get a physical card. And the only difference really between the physical card and the e-card is that the physical card allows you to check out books. But if you're fine happy using databases, or if you just want to use some of the streaming media resources that we have, such as Canopy or Hoopla or Headspace, which I talked about last week in the Working From Anywhere episode, you can use an e-card, and it gives you all the same access. So I hope that helps. Oh, yes. And my colleague just posted something in the chat for those of you following along. Let me just put up the contact again. So if you weren't logged into your Google account and you didn't enter your question in the live chat, you can always email us at ask@bpl.org. Me or the army of reference librarians that we have can help you answer your question. We have some limited access to some of the resources, but a lot of stuff we can help you with online as well. You can also tweet us. If you include the Coffee with KBLIC hashtag, that would be really great. You can also give us a call, and you can chat with us. It'll be general information. My recommendation is honestly just email us. That's the best way to get a hold of us. And again, you can attend the drop-ins. So I'm just going to put those dates back up on the screen. So Tuesdays is career. Thursdays is electronic business resources virtual drop-in. And I knew I breezed through some of the resources that we have here, including Mergent Intellect and Demographics Now. Demographics Now and Mergent can do a lot more than what I showed today. And then on Fridays, we have the Foundation Directory Online Essentials. Drop-ins. So if you're looking for funding for your nonprofit, or you're thinking about starting a nonprofit, and you're thinking about ways of securing funding, that would be a cool opportunity. So I'm just going to go back to the stream. All right. And thank you to my colleagues for putting information in the chat. Maybe next time when I do this, I'll actually have like a live feed of the chat. I just was lazy. Not necessarily. I need to learn the CSS to make it look really good. So I just want it to look really nice. That's all. And make sure it's legible. So I'm going to check the Coffee with KBLIC just to see. All right. Ooh! I missed one. Someone's got a Dunkin' Donuts cup. Hold on, I'll pull that up. So we'll do browser. Yeah, this would have been cool if we could have cheersed my Dunkin' Donuts cup. I love it. Thank you, Duncan. All right. So, let's see. Oh, any more? I have a couple of announcements to make just about services. And then we're done for the afternoon or morning. I don't know what time it is anymore. Let's see. I don't see anything in the stream. So if I miss your question or not, I'm really sorry, but you can always email us at ask@bpl.org and we can do our best to help you. And you can attend one of the drop-ins with my colleagues. and they can help you too. So thanks for sharing your coffee cups. That's a toast to health. So, all right. So my last two things I want to show before I bounce. Browser window. All right. So I have the e-cards up. So this is the e-card website, but I do want to talk a little bit about this online citizenship class again. I do want to highlight that. So if you or someone you know wants to get their citizenship, this is a great opportunity, and it's free, and it's through our partners, the St. Mark Education Community Program. The other thing I would want to talk about and highlight is this cool opportunity. Now, I know I spent a portion of this stream today talking about Black and brown business owners and women business owners, but there's often, in times like these, there are people that we sort of forget about, for lack of a better word. And so this is a cool opportunity. It's going to be streaming here tomorrow at 11. And it's called Out Here, Stories of Homelessness and Transition from the Streets of Downtown Boston. And so the Black Seeds Writers Group is a group of, basically a group of folks who are homeless or in transition, and they offer creative writing opportunities for those folks. And this is like a wonderful outlet, and I hope that you support the folks in their creative pursuits. It's a really cool program, and we're happy to have them. And so where's the link? I don't see it. Oh, it will be on the YouTube page, and the link is right there. I'm going to check the stream one last time. And let's see. All right, folks. I think we are done for the day. I want to thank all the folks who asked really great questions. If I didn't get to you, I'm really sorry. And if you have any questions, you can email us at ask@bpl.org. Thanks for joining me with this sort of fun. Oh, I'm not on the screen. Whoops. Thanks for joining me today and sharing your cups of coffees with me. Cheers. I hope to see you on the 20th, and I might have a special guest that day, but our theme for that week's is called Causes and Effects, and we're going to talk about how to support local causes and nonprofits. And I hope to see you then. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.